All right, I'm a little excited about this one. This is a Timex, but a particularly rare Timex. It's a Timex 400. I don't know if you can see that 400 there underneath the hands. It does tick some, but it's not really running. What makes this one special? You can see Timex 400 there on the case back. So typically when you open up a Timex, you see a very rudimentary, industrial, inexpensively constructed movement. Some with no jewels, some with 21 jewels. Even the 21 jewel movements are pretty rudimentary. You can see that this one says 17 jewels. Why am I more excited about a 17 jewel than I am about a 21 jewel? Well, we'll call it typical Timex construction for their vintage watches are really not particularly serviceable. It's not to say that it's impossible. They certainly are not service friendly, and frankly, my success rate with them is not very high. They just, they're not made to come apart and go back together. It is possible though. This movement is obviously, well, if you're not familiar, this movement is more in line with the Swiss-made movement. This is made in West Germany, or was made in West Germany back around 1960. And my understanding is these movements were not used very long by Timex. One, they are much more expensive than the movement that they ended up going, or the movement options they ended up going with. You can see the jewels there, or some of the jewels, those red rubies. Those red rubies always remind me of my grandmother, who was named Ruby. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with making sure that the power is wound down. This is our click right here. You can see if I as I wind, you can see this click here move, and it will click into the next gear there to hold power. That's actually when you hear that ratcheting sound. I don't know if you can hear that. But that's the click, 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 click sound. And a watch when you wind it. Just go ahead and let the power down in this and the click. So we'll engage it, and it's interesting that it clicks that way. There we go. And release the power slowly and gently. Well, I think that's it. And this screw right there should release our stem. I'm going to loosen this just one turn for now. Actually, should have pulled it out into the setting position first. But all right, so that's one turn. It's still not releasing fully, so I'm going to do another full turn, and that's it, just so. Go ahead and get our movement ring out. I think I'm going to go ahead and remove the balance right now. Let's put a little air on the balance just to see. Cool. Well, the balance is swinging, but the second hand is not ticking. I can see the skate wheel occasionally juddering there. Let's go ahead and get that balance wheel out. Balance complete, I should say. and a little notch here, so I'm going to just try and very gently lift it on both sides. And I don't want this thing to violently pop off. Oh, there we go, a little lift. All right. Slide under here gently. I'm going to tilt the watch just. Oh. Here we go. Gently lower. Try to get it back onto the pivot there. All right, let's get this movement out. The case or the crystal is not in terrible shape. I think we can salvage that pretty nicely. There might be a crack in there, but we'll see. We'll get to that later. All right, we need to get our hands off. Hands off. It's not what that usually means in this case. Put a sheet of plastic here to protect the dial. Ease. There we go. Let gravity take care of that. The typical vintage Timex has metal tabs on the dial that you bend, and I hate those. Again, because they're not very serviceable. Loosen up this dial screw. I'm not feeling this dial come off very easily, so I'm going to see if I can. See, maybe it's just stuck on there. You certainly can loosen the screws more, but they're a pain to get back in if you completely back them out. Okay, I think we've just about got it. Okay, there we go. That's loose. So I'm gonna flip it like this and see if we can. Still not quite. I don't want to bend it. I don't want to bend. There we go. There we go. You can bend these dial feet if you are too aggressive in removing it from the movement. So these away for now. All right, this is our dial washer. Our reel. It's our cannon pinion. And we'll use our cannon pinion removing tool, which we also use to remove our hands. Here's the cannon pinion. Now, my research says that this movement was from a German company called Duro. It's associated with Laco, I think. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and finish on the keyless work side here. Okay, here's where we need to be careful. See the spring here? It's under tension. And so it'll fly off if we're not careful. And I'm just going to take a small screwdriver And pry the end up. There we go. Okay, now that spring looks loose. I'm not going to make any assumptions though. I'm going to put tweezers on it. There we go. That's our little guy. Now, sometimes they're much smaller. That's actually decent size. I've lost some that were, gosh, maybe even a quarter of that size or smaller. And man, they just rocket off. You just kind of get a little, like a flick of motion. You're not sure if you lost something or not. And then you see that it's gone. And sometimes you'll even hear it ping in the distance. Now we are on the train of wheels. I guess the first thing I'll do is go ahead and remove this pallet fork. I really hope we can get this going again without much fuss. No extra parts. Okay, I think it's fairly loose. I'm gonna just go in here on the center. There we go. The crown wheel is often reverse threaded. Sometimes the ratchet wheel is reverse threaded. Oh, it's loose. That was really loose already, which is better than too tight, so I didn't end up damaging the screw trying to figure out if it was reverse threaded or not. There we go. All right, now we'll go for the crown wheel, and I'm going to assume this is reverse threaded and start in that direction gently, though. That screw is so shallow. Oh gosh, I'm concerned about that. Doesn't want to move very easily, and I don't want to snap the screw off because I have done that before. It just oh gosh, it's so tight. Oh gosh, there it went. It is reverse threaded. I mean, you can find these replacement parts, but I don't like to wait, especially, you know, for a problem, to solve a problem that didn't exist. I have recently filed my screwdrivers down, but even just looking at these screw heads, you can see that they're very shallow. Mercifully, they're not rusted in, or so I don't know if this has ever been serviced. I see like a scratch mark here. I mean, that could be tool marks from assembly. Oh, there is a service mark on the case back. Okay, these screws are the same. You know, I'm curious. Let's just see how well this will rotate. It's not horrible. So that's good news. A little lift there and a little lift here. A little lift toward the center. There we go. Pivots on this gate wheel look good. Did that stick to... Okay, so this is sticking to my tweezers, and I'm gonna guess that's oil. Over oiling will stop a watch. Okay, so let's get this large screw out. And again, this screw slot is very, very shallow. Well, let's go ahead and get our get the barrel bridge off, because that's got to come off before the center wheel comes off anyway. That's a better screwdriver for that. I could file my screwdrivers down more, but then they'll be almost too sharp. They'll be too sharp for the next time I need them, which is, you know, yeah, I can file them, I can blunt them down again, but this next size down seems to be working just fine. Now we'll go for this guy. There we go. Okay, I see just like a a little bit of opening on this side now. Wow. Well, I'm not sure I'm going to be looking forward to that. And that's pretty much it. It's like a mark there, 542. There we go. Okay. Well, that actually doesn't look bad in there. But we'll clean it up and get a little oil in there. Just inspecting the jewels on the plate. They seem to be okay. See some occlusions, but no damage. Now we're gonna get our parts in the cleaner. And we'll spread these back out, like very similar to what we see here. Let them dry, and we'll get this thing back together again. But that will be another video. Hey, thanks for taking the time to watch this. You know, if you would be so kind, give me a thumbs up and a subscribe. It would really help keep this channel going. Hope to see you in the next one.